Hello, brothers and sisters. Today, I'm feeling very compelled to do this history lesson. As I continue through my studies and through my research, I'm finding out there's a lot of history and a lot of things that have been purposely distorted throughout time. And I feel like that it's been obviously intentionally done because the world is so sensitive of the illustrious history that the black man, the so-called black man has. And in particular, when dealing with the Moors of Western Europe and Spain. Now, in this portion, I'm going to be particularly dealing with the etymology of the word Moor. And I'm going to start off with this book by The Golden Age of the Moor by Ivan van Sertima. This is one of my favorite scholars. Very inspirational guy, man. But I want to get off into the first segment here. And the first thing I want to deal with is primarily the etymology of the word Moor. Because if you deal with history, I mean, you have scholars saying white Moors and just bringing all type of madness. And it's purposely done to protect the lies of the Roman Catholic Church. Because as we go into history, we understand that we failed as a people in 1492. And because of that, our history has been hidden and whitewashed and swept under the rug for centuries. And now that we're able to retrieve these documents and these writings, we're able to find out the truth. Now, I want to start off with a little segment in this book here to open up with. Sorry, just bear with me. I don't have my camera yet. I'm new to YouTube and all of that, man. This is one of my very first video, actually. So if you could just bear with me just a second. It says, during the European Renaissance, explorers, writers, and scholars began to apply the term Moor to blacks in general. A prominent example of this tendency can be found in the work of Richard Hakluyt, I'm having trouble pronouncing his name, a 15th century traveler. Hakluyt recorded that in old times, the people of Africa were called Ethiops and Negrite, which we now call Moors, Marines, or Negroes. In the Romance languages, Spanish, French, and Italian of medieval Europe, Moor was translated as Mora, Moor, or Moor. Derivatives of the word Moor may be found even today in these same languages. In Spanish, for example, the word blackberry is mora, a noun which originally meant Moorish woman. Also in Spanish, the adjective for dark complexion, which now means brunette, is moreno. We find a similar legacy in the French language. In French, Morocco means dark skin or blackamoor, while Morillion means black-gray. Again, as in the Spanish, the Italian word Moor means Negro or Moorish female. Also in Italian, Mora means blackberry, while Moreala means black olive. So as you can see here, the etymology of the word Moor always referred to being black or dark. So we obviously have to start there because there's no way that you could get a white Moor. I mean, you see that the contradiction in that statement in itself is ridiculous. That was page 7. Now, I'm going to flip to another word. We're still going to primarily just deal with the etymology of the word here. And let's check out this top segment. 1 second. Please bear with me. I know this is a little disorganized, but I'm just trying to get this thing off the ground here. The Moors in Antiquity by James E. Brunson and Renuko Rashidi. According to the Oxford English Dictionary, the Moors, as early as the Middle Ages and as late as the 17th century, were commonly supposed to be black or very swarthy. And hence, the word is often used for Negro. This is considerably difficult, however, in determining the ethnicity of the Moors through terminology alone. Indeed, there are several terms that have been used to identify the Moors. Arabic texts, for example, rarely use the word Moor. Instead, applied the term Berber. Yeah, and the Berbers and the Moors were the same people. And as I continue to go through this segment, I'm going to show you exactly who the Berbers were, where they come from, and how they got off into migrating into Africa. There's been so many lies about this history. Okay, so a word thought to be some to be pejorative to the early non-Arab peoples of Northwest Africa, and when not applying the term, they utilized the clan names of Berbers themselves. So it's going off into that. So as you can see here. All right. Let's go to the next segment. Let's see here. Through that section again. Sorry about that. Yeah, I'm just gonna and as a matter of fact, let me go ahead and show you guys a little bit of the some images here to back up the statement. As you can see here, go off into this segment here. I did like this passage here. Okay. I'm trying my best, y'all. Please bear with me once again. Please, please, please. Okay. I'm trying to bring this history to you. Okay. This is page 28. Medieval illuminators portrayed blacks in the cantigas. Now, I have several other books as well that will show these images in color. And you can clearly see that the Moors are black people, or a dark race of people, in which we know to be the true Israelites, in fact. But, however, in a variety of, that says noble, or in a variety of roles, I'm sorry, from members of the aristocracy to the military. Included among the aristocratic images of Islamic Spain is a black man receiving gifts from a caliph, attended by black and white servants and musicians. And that's another reason why they're so sensitive about this history, because as I'm going to go off into the history, we actually had so-called white people in slavery. They served us for 800 years. So, in the Almoravid, the Moors are known as foot soldiers, bowmen, lancers, high-ranking officers, and da-da-da-da. So I'm going to show you here. And also, during the Middle Ages, because of his dark complexion and Islamic faith, the Moor became, in Europe, a symbol of guile, evil, and hate. Yeah, because during the Middle Ages, with the persecution of the beginning of the Inquisition, you had two different phases of the Inquisition hit Spain and Portugal. And there they began to create all of their social constructs from there. But it goes on to say that among Satan's titles, the medieval folklore were Black Knight, Black Man, Black Ethiopian, and Big Negro. In the Cantiga 185, King Alfonso, the Wise of Spain, 3 Moors attacking the castle of Chincoya, or described as Black as Satan. In Cantiga 329, an extremely black man who has stolen objects from a Christian church is identified as a Moor. So you can see the consistency of this, of Moor. It's clear as day, man, when we dig off into the history. And the Cantigas, like I said, I have a book, The Black Image of West Art, which clearly show these images that this author is speaking about. Here's an image. Okay. It's in black and white, but you can clearly, let me get the clear caption of that. And as you can see here, Moors. Moors. Look at the Star of David. They got meat trees on their head. They would tell you that they're Arabs, but these people, these were Jews. And as you can see, a white servant right there. Now I'm going to make the translation over to this book, which is another great scholarly book, written book. I'm going to open it to this segment right here. Well, before I do that, this book is Othello's Children in the New World, Moorish History and Identity in the African American Experience by Jose V. Pimenta, Bay, PhD. Let's go off in here on page, let's see, what page is this? Page 26. Let's take a look at this segment right here. Citing Gerald Massey's monumental work, The Book of the Beginnings, Volume 2. Now, Gerald Massey, if you look this man up, this is a white man. So don't just think that we're taking this history and we're creating this for some type of black identity extremist or it's none of that. We're just bringing out the facts, okay? You don't have to agree with it, but you definitely have to respect it. In J. Bryan's Analysis of Ancient Mythology, Volume 3, J.A. Rogers informed us that the word Moor is actually African in origin. Such a contention agrees with that of the American Heritage Dictionary in 1978, which also says that Moor is most probably of African origin. This dispels a commonly held notion that the word is actually Greek in origin. Rogers says Moor was an African word imported into the Greek to describe black people. That is Moros, black. I mean, you can't get around this history, man. You can't get around it. In recounting Moorish victories against Vandal and Greek invasions, 429 CE Common Era, into the Maghreb, which is, once again, they lie about those people. A Latin poet, Corippus, described the Moorish soldiers as black as crows. This appears in his epic Johannes. A European Catholic priest's account about the Moorish invasion into Iberia, 710 CE, written in 745 CE, makes clear that the Catholic occupants of Europe during this early era made a clear distinction between Moors and Arabs. Yeah, because that's another lie, is that the Arabs claim the history of the Moors, and you weren't the Moors. The Arabs didn't come in until later. The original Moors were dark, black people. You can't get around this history. Okay. I mean, not that fluid. I don't know if that's Spanish or whatever that is, but here we're going to start right here when it translates to English. Here it is, the translation. He gathered the full strength of his army to face the Arabs together with the Moors sent by Musa. So there's a clear distinction between the Arabs and the Moors. Musa ibn Nuwayr, governor of the Maghreb in 710 CE, during the Moorish conquest of Iberia. This 8th century quote reveals that the Moros, and Arabs were understood by early Catholic chroniclers to constitute separate nations and peoples. In light of what early history reveals about the intimate familial relationship between the Arabian Peninsula and East Africa, such recognized differences between the two peoples, nations, may have been more cultural, dress, language, mannerisms than the. So you can clearly see right here. The 4th century chronicler Claudian indicated that Moors were directly related to early Negritans and Ethiopians. To Claudian, North African chronicler, Moors, Ethiopians, Negritans, that is Negroes, were one and the same. He speaks of the Moors who dwelt beside Gir. You can't get around this history, man. It's impossible. It's impossible. But that's going to include this little minor lesson. This little minor lesson here. It's just going to get better as time gets on. Give you a snapshot of these 2 books. And get these books if you can, man. I'm out.